get really close to understanding trading because it is all based off of the indicator at the bottom, which is called the RSI, or the Relative Strength Index, and we have it at a setting of 4. And what I'm about to tell you is really, really simple. It's going to seem maybe too simple. However, you'll see that there is a little bit of gamification to the concept and a little bit of adding something to this. Now, we won't talk about this in this video. We're going to talk about the RSI in this video, but we also have to couple it with what's going on above the RSI with the chart and the moving averages. However, right now, we're simply talking about RSI, and we are going to talk a little bit about margin level percent. This is a good time for me to introduce you to that. And then, of course, we'll talk about that more when we're actually getting in and doing some of the live trading. It is as simple as this. Now, I'm going to use a concept that is not necessarily true if you really dig into it. I'm going to describe this in a certain way. When the RSI line is up over the 85% line, that is called the overbought area. That means the price is overbought and it's going to come down, and look exactly what it did. It came down and down and down, and it came down into what's called the oversold area. Now, what's interesting is when the price is all the way up at the top here, that's when you sell because it's about to drop. And when it's down at the bottom here, that's when you buy because it's about to go up. Is that always true? Hell no. However, as you start to play this video game, that when the relative strength index, the RSI, gets over the top here, over 85%, you sell. And when it gets under 15%, you buy. Of course, like I said in the next video, we'll compare that to the moving averages, the moving average lines above in the chart, and the way the price looks. However, it's typically going to work in your favor. There are other things we're going to add to this along the way. I feel like I want to say them now, but I don't want to add too much to this. So that's it. It's as simple as that. When the price gets up at the top here, I sell. When it crosses this 15% line down at the bottom, I buy. Crosses the 85% above, and I sell. Crosses the 15% below, and I buy. So when it's down at the bottom, it's typically going to go up. When it's at the top, it's typically going to go down. The only real question that you have to determine is how far is it going to go down? Now, let's take a look at the current price. And it got up at the top here. Usually we can put our crosshair on here, and I can just put it right when it hit the top. And then we can look straight up and we can see that the price started to turn on this green candle, and then the next 3 candles are red. That means the price was coming down. My question is, if I got in at the top right there, how much money would I have made so far coming down? So that's where we do a movement or a measurement, and it's 1,751 points. We are on the US 30, so that's an index. So we divide that by 100, so it's 17.5 pips. If I bid $1, I just made $17.50, and I could get out at profit as it's turning the opposite direction here in the middle of the chart. However, I don't want to get too far into it, but the concept is so simple. If I buy at the bottom and I sell at the top, I'm going to do pretty well. The gamification concept of this is, as we get better at this, we start to go, okay, how far is it going to move up or down? And that is something that we will learn over the next few videos, because it's a combination of, obviously the RSI is the main dictator, but it's a combination of what the moving averages are doing, what the price is doing right now, and more importantly, since we're looking at the 1-minute chart here, what is the higher time frame doing? That's called confluence, or for example, if the higher time frame, which moves a lot slower, let's say the 4-hour chart or the daily chart, if the 4-hour chart is red, that means predominantly the price is coming down. So I'm not looking for any buy opportunities. I'm looking for a sell opportunity. We'll get into that. However, I will know at some point that when the price is at the top here, I'll be able to look at a couple simple other factors and go, should I actually sell? Or am I waiting for it to come down to the bottom like it did right here? Am I waiting for that? And in this case, obviously I would have been, I should have been, because if I did a buy down here, if I put my crosshairs here, I would have bought somewhere right here. And if we measure right now, the price has come all the way up 127 pips. So that's a lot in a short period of time. This is the 1 minute chart. So over 102 minutes is what it says right there. It would have moved 127 pips. So if I bid $10, I would have made $1,270 in 102 minutes. So just over an hour. And all I was waiting for, and all we're really talking about at this point, all I was waiting for was the RSI indicator to bottom out like this. I hit the buy button up here in the upper left-hand corner, and we're in a trade, and we're in the profit. Now, I will tell you, there are going to be times, and we'll look at this more, there are going to be times when you do a buy or a sell, and it completely goes against you. However, as I said, if we add a few other factors like the higher time frame bias, which way is the higher time frame actually going? What side is the power to? Is it the downside? Is it the sell side? Or is it the upside? Is it the buy side? So we'll know that kind of stuff. We're not talking about that yet, but just imagine how simple this is. Now, I'm going to stop the screen from scrolling, and we're going to go back in time and look at some of these movements. Here's an interesting one. When the price bottomed out right here and then it just took off, it took it a little while to take off. Sometimes that happens. But I'm only looking at this particular signal right here. Now, I could have looked at this signal to the left and did a buy, and guess what happened? I got some profit out of it, but it immediately came back against me. So we'll talk about ways to mitigate that, ways to set what's called a loss or a stop loss, if that's what you want to do. Or if you really want to gamble, you go into a trade and you just wait until it's profitable, or you take a major loss. I know that sounds a little crazy. However, you will see that a lot of this is gambling. A lot of this is taking a best guess. You're not always going to be right, but you do have some ways to put some protections in place. And we will talk about that when we actually get in and do some live trading. And then at the very end, I have some recorded live trading that I did when the market was really moving. And I will voice over that. I just did the video recording. I'll voice over it live, and I'll show you how exciting it is and how much money I made. I made thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in just a few minutes by using the technique that I'm telling you here, and of course, adding on a few things that we will learn along the way. But it's, again, as simple as this. Let's just end it right at that point. When the RSI bottoms out, you buy, and when it tops out, you sell. If that's all you ever did, you'd probably do pretty well. Like I said, we will add a few factors that make that get a little bit closer to being accurate. Now, let's talk about margin. I'm going to open the trade panel below. So it's this icon here, the terminal, and we are in the trade tab. I want to go ahead and go into a trade. So let me hit the scroll icon here so the screen goes, and let's take a look at something. Let's go to the 5-minute chart, and price is coming down temporarily. However, it's going up, up, up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a really hefty buy here. So we're at 0.1 at $1. I'm actually going to do it at $10. So 1.0, and I'm going to hit a buy and show you something here. I want to look at margin level percent. Right now it's at about 590%. Now, that's pretty low. However, I'm not going to blow out my account. Blow out meaning the broker says you went too far, I'm going to shut you down. You always want to be paying attention to, and again, I'm giving you an introduction to margin level percent. You always want to pay attention to this number here. That means that I bid $10. I'm 300. Well, I was 300. Now I'm $100, $50 in a hole, $400 in a hole. You can see how fast it moves. At some point, I'll be in profit enough, like right there, and I'll just close it out. Now, I did a huge risk because my margin percent was 500%. It was low. I'll show you what it looks like. Let's look at our margin level percent. Instead of bidding $10, let's bid 10 cents. So 0.01. Let's go ahead and do a buy. And let's look at our margin level percent. 59,000%. That's a lot. That's pretty high. I got all kinds of room. I'm not going to make a lot of money. I'm not going to lose a lot of money. Unless I, of course, let it go and just walk away, right? But you can see right now we're in about a $7 loss. And if it jumps up to profit, I'll take the profit. But I want you to see the difference. So now you get to learn that lot size, depending on how much you bid, of course, we're trading on US 30, so it's extremely exaggerated. We'll go look at doing this exact same thing on just a regular currency pair, and you'll see how the margin level percent is really not much of a factor. Now there's a profit. I'm going to go ahead and take that profit. Closed out, took the profit. So let me show you what the margin level percent is going to do if we really, really bid high. I'm not even sure I even have enough margin on this account, but let's bid 5.0 or $50. Might not let me do that. Let me go ahead and hit buy. And it did let me do that. But look at the margin level percent, 117%. If this trade goes against us and it goes down to 70% margin level, the broker will close my trade for me so they don't lose money. But look at that. I'm at $1,200, $700 profit, $1,200 profit. It's moving so fast. But you get to see that my margin level percent is really, really low. If this thing went into the negative by very far, down to 69 to 70%, the broker just closes me out at a loss and says, hey, you're crazy, you're bidding too much, blah, blah, blah. So, but you need to pay attention to those numbers. Now, I'm going to see if we can take a profit real quick here so I don't completely kill this account. But again, when you're out testing and demo testing, you can afford to take the losses and get a feel for what's going on. Look, we're minus $5,000 in profit at about 115% margin level. Let's just wait this out just for a second here, and I'll pause the video if I need to. I want this to go into profit, and I'm just going to take a profit if it's going to take a profit. There it was, so I took a $240 profit. Let's look at the history. And yeah, $265 profit. So a lot of this concept, I think that took about a minute if I did edit some of that pause out. But a lot of this concept is waiting, and the question is, do you have enough margin level percent? We can talk about how that's calculated. Frankly, I never cared how it was calculated. I look at the number. Now, let's go open. Actually, we already have. Let's look at this AUD USD. And let's go down to the 1 minute chart. AUD USD does not move very much. So watch this. I'm going to open a trade and we'll do it at $1. And it looks like the price is at the bottom on the RSI. So let's just do a buy. And notice my percent, my margin level percent, 705,000%. Like, that's huge. What that means is I've got so much room. This currency pair does not move very much. I'm not going to make a lot. I'm not going to lose a lot. So we're right now at about a $2 loss. And let's go ahead and close that out. So notice 705,000% margin, which is huge. So let's close that and let's bid a lot more. Let's bid $100 per pip. So it's 10.0. Let's see if they'll even let us do that on this account. And let's go ahead and hit the buy button. And now we're in a $100 per pip trade, which is an excessive amount, AUD USD. And look at our margin level, 7,000%. That's still pretty high. Anywhere from 5 to 10,000% is a pretty comfortable trade. Obviously, you start getting down into the triple digits, like 100%, 200%, 300%, you're getting close. And depending on how much you bid, and if the price is moving a lot, you could be in some serious trouble. Now, we're in a $190, $240, $250 drawdown over here because the price is coming against us. But here's what's interesting. We'll do this more when we're actually trading. The RSI is at the bottom here. So unless the higher time frame, which I have not looked at, has a bias to it, meaning that it's definitely coming down, I'm pretty confident this price is going to bounce and go back up. So I could potentially hold this trade. However, we're not at that point yet. That's not what we're talking about. But I did want you to pay attention to margin level percent. I still have 7,000 margin level percent by bidding $100 per pip. So I'm currently in the negative about $340. Let's close this. And that's something we're going to pay attention to. You can't really describe it a whole lot until you actually see it and get a feel for it. That's part of the gamification of this entire process. Bidding, you'll get a feel for how much can I bid on any given currency pair on any given time frame based off of where I think the price is going to go, and not margin myself out, which means the broker's going to close my trade because I bid too much and I was potentially going to lose too much of my balance. So that's just something you look at. But obviously higher percentages are very non-risk, lower percentages are risky. You got to get a feel for what you can get away with at any given time, certainly compared from a currency pair like we're looking at here, AUD USD, compared to a US 30, which is an index which moves an excessive amount. And I think you saw that, and you get to see how it affects the margin differently. So that's it. We looked at when to enter on the RSI. We buy at the bottom, we sell at the top. And in upcoming videos, I will add a few little things to this strategy that help confirm you're more than likely a high percentage likely in the right direction. Meaning, did I buy? Is that the right direction? Or did I sell? Is that the right direction? You'll get some what's called confluence, or things that we're going to look at. So we'll look at those in the next videos, and I'll see you there in the next video.